Okay, guys. Hello. Good afternoon. Welcome. Those of you who are taking Grammar and Context 2, this is Prope B. And I want to let everyone know too. Oops. Sorry about that. Yeah, I want to let everyone know, those of you who took Prope A this morning, if they have any questions, I posted a link to this broadcast today. If they want to watch the broadcast live, or of course, watch either recordings, either from today's class in Prope B that's going on now, or the recording from this morning. If you guys have questions as we're going through the class, okay, it's very important that you post questions in the chat during the class. All right. Of course, you can activate your microphone and draw my attention to anything that we're doing, and you can interrupt me at any time. I know maybe if for some reason the audio is not working, or if I can't hear you, or of course, if you can't hear me, that's also when you can use the chat. Okay. So use the chat because I do try to see the chat as often as I can during the class itself. Okay, but it's important that you're reaching out and trying to let me know if you have questions. Of course, if you have questions after class, that you reach me in Microsoft Teams. All right, so it's very important, guys, that you are reaching out to me if you have questions about what we're doing in class. Again, in the chat in Microsoft Teams, I think is the easiest way. Or of course, you can post in our team itself. You can post publicly any questions, of course, that's fine as well. All right. So today what I want to do is finish talking about how we can prepare for our interview for this week, because I'd like for you to conduct your interview today with a family member, somebody that you live with, someone that you know very well. But I would like for you to think about different questions that you can ask in your interview. And so I want to start the same way I started this morning by asking everyone, who are you considering to interview for this week's interview? Which family member have you chosen? And if you want to let us know why you chose this person, you certainly can do that as well. So who have you chosen? Again, you can unmute your microphone or you can post in the chat. Okay, and when you share who you're going to interview, go ahead and try to include why you chose this person. What kind of context or what kind of ideas are you thinking about in terms of asking this person certain questions related to education? And also remember that your question, when you ask your family member about education, remember that it's not just formal education. You could also be asking questions about his or her own experiences related to informal education. So formal education primarily being education found in schools or institutions, whereas informal education, of course, can be learning or teaching in the real world, something that might be on the job, some sort of on the job experience, or it could be just through informal classes or uh, studying that the person did on his own or her own, but maybe for a professional type of purpose. So you're really trying to find different types of questions to ask about that relate to his or her experiences, and also keep in mind that although you know this your family member very well, right? You've known this person probably your whole life. So you also want to try to find out something maybe that you didn't know beforehand, right? Try to find some questions, some ideas that you're thinking about where you can learn something new about the person. Okay, so we see many of you are going to interview your mother, your sister, Some of you are on the fence. You're thinking about different family members, and it's good that you're thinking very carefully about the family member. Again, think about maybe specific experiences that uh, he or she have had in the past, and really think about why you want to choose this particular person. Okay, so many of you are sharing the family member that you're thinking about. Some of you are still thinking, trying to decide on who to choose, and that's fine. Hopefully today, by the end of the class today, you will have chosen the person that you would like to interview, because again, we want to try to get our interview in today so that tomorrow we can talk about the results. Remember also that the interview can be either in English or Spanish, depending on the English proficiency level of the person with whom you're going to interview. But typically, I mean, if you have a choice, if there is a way to include some English in the process of interviewing your family member, I think it will be easier in the end, because you're going to have to translate essentially anything that's in Spanish, right? So, but it's up to you.
Do we have to record the conversation, the interview?
It's not necessary for a grade or for this assignment that you turn in a recording. Okay, I'm not going to ask for a recording, but I certainly think it will make your job a lot easier if you do record it. So I would suggest that you record it, but it's not required, and I'm not going to ask you to turn in an audio file for for the purposes of this assignment or for the activities that we're doing. But yes, I would probably record it just to have it, so that you can go back later and get the details of what your mother, your father, your sister, your brother told you during the interview.
Okay, thank you.
And you're welcome. This was a question too from Prope A, and it didn't come up. I didn't mention it. So do try, if you're watching this video or you're watching the stream, Prope A, also make sure that you uh, record the interview. But again, it's not necessary for the assignment. Okay. Any other questions up to this point, guys? Feel free to continue sharing the family member that you've chosen for your interview. Okay, so today I want to share with you a guide. All right, this is going to be a Word document. I'll show you here in a few minutes where to find it. But the idea here today is I want us to divide up into our breakout rooms here in Zoom. And we're going to do that here in a few minutes. But before we do that, I want to share with you an interview guide, because today I want us to work together in small groups to help each other share ideas about how you can plan for a good interview. And I really want you to think carefully about what kind of questions that you can ask. Again, it can be related to formal and or informal educational situations. Okay, so it could be something very much related to school, or it could be something more related to real life learning. It can also be something obviously based on real experiences, but it could also be hypothetical. So remember, we've talked about different ways of forming hypothetical conditionals, for example, right? So you could easily be asking questions like, if you would have completed the university or high school, right? What would you have done? What could you have done? What would you have done if, and you provide an alternative situation that didn't happen, right? Because this is a hypothetical, it's not true, it's unreal. And so be thinking about ways to form those types of hypothetical conditionals or questions also in your discussion. It really is going to depend on the person that you're interviewing and his or her experiences that they have faced. So try to keep that in mind. There's a lot of different ways that you can go about discussing and interviewing your family member. Just try to tie it into some form of education. again, formal or informal. So I'm going to share my screen now, guys, and I'm going to show you where you can access the interview guide. Hopefully now you can see my screen. If you guys go into the Microsoft Teams under Files, under week 11, and if you go under the folder called Interview Guides, you're going to see a long list of Word files, and they're all identical. At least they were at the beginning before anyone edited the files. You can choose basically any Word document that says Interview Guide, and then it'll say something like 15th copy, 18th copy, whatever. These are the templates. These are the original documents that you can go in. You can choose any one of these. Please do not choose one that already has someone else's name. And the first thing I would like for you to do is to click on these three dots that says Show Actions. And here you should be given an option to rename the document. Now, if you're on your cell phone, then maybe a long click, maybe a hold, and maybe it gives you options to rename the file. But I would ask that you just include your first name. You don't have to include your whole name. Just your first name is fine, and you can remove interview guides since all of these are interview guides. Okay, I think just to keep it short and easy to read, just your first name is fine. Once you've changed the name of the document, then go into the document and you'll see that it's divided into two sections. The first section has some general information that you can go ahead and complete. For example, you can put your name here at the top next to interviewer. The interviewee is going to be the family member with whom you will interview. Okay, so it could be your mother, your father, and you can put either the person's name, or you can just put the relation he or she is to you. So you can put mother or father or mom, dad, brother, sister. And then here, the rationale. So just a short description or reasoning for choosing this person. Why did you choose this person to interview? Again, it could be based on some prior experience that he or she had. Maybe it's something that you want to find out more about. You could include that here also for your rationale for choosing this person. Here you can include the date of the interview. So more than likely that's going to be today, hopefully. The location of the interview, you can include that, and specific topics to cover during the interview. Okay, so again, think about things that you already know about the person, and then think about things that you would like to learn from this interview, and try to include briefly those topics in this area, in this section right here. Now, the last two options here, duration of the interview and surprising aspects about the interview, you can complete this after you finish the interview. All right, so don't worry about including that now because you'll need to conduct the interview before you can get this information. But you can come back later and add that here in this part. Now below, you'll see a line here, division, and then you'll see basically a blank space. In this section is where you can use this space to organize your ideas around what you want to ask during your interview. And that's what I would like for you to work on together in small groups in your breakout rooms. What kind of questions I'd like for you to share what you're thinking about, how you're preparing, find out how your partners are preparing, make some suggestions if you want about how you're preparing. But I want to give you a couple of suggestions to think about in how you can organize and prepare for this interview. And I'm going to go ahead and edit this document, see if I can bring this up into Microsoft Word Online and see if it's a little easier to edit. Okay. Hopefully you can see this. Again, let me know if you are not able to see it. All right, so in this section, all right, one thing that you can think about is actually the first thing I'm going to suggest is something not to do. So my first tip would be don't make the mistake of writing out every question that you plan to ask during the interview. This is the wrong approach for this type of kind of a semi-structured interview. All right, so don't feel that you need to write out all the questions. In fact, I would suggest not writing out any questions. Instead, I would write out key ideas, experiences, concepts, etc., that you wish to know more about. All right, so this is going to obviously be dependent on the person, but I want you to think about, as it relates to education, some key ideas, some experiences maybe that he or she have had. We mentioned that before, key concepts, things that you want to ask about, that you want to know more about, and write those out in some organized fashion. Now, you might choose to organize those using some sort of mind map. You can use symbols in Microsoft Word and create kind of like a mind map if you want. You can write an outline using bullet points, right? So you might have something like this where you have, I don't know, point 1, point 2, point 3, right? Maybe the 3 points that you want to discuss. And I don't know, you might use some of the question words to prompt you: what, how, and why. And of course, you can include more of the question words, right? But this just gives you kind of a very brief kind of an outline or organizational approach to think about as you're asking questions. The guide is to try to help you not forget anything that to ask about, right? That's the purpose. But it shouldn't be like just a list of all the questions that you're going to ask. In fact, again, I would not make the mistake of asking any questions in the guide itself. Try to create the question. Try to create the question based on the ideas and the concepts that you want to hear about, that you want to learn more about. All right, so this is the approach I would try to take. Again, you could use an outline form as I've done here. You can do a mind map, even if you write a mind map on a piece of paper to help you organize the different ideas that you want to ask. Okay, just do whatever works for you. But I want to, at least today, provide you this template for you guys to use in working together as you prepare for your interview. What you don't want to happen, and sometimes this happens, right? You finish an interview and you're like, oh, I forgot to ask this, or oh, I forgot, I should have asked him about this. Now, the great part about all of this is that the person with whom you're going to interview probably lives with you and you probably see them. And so even if you did forget something, you could probably go back an hour later and ask them again about it or follow up. But one thing that you want to try to practice when you're doing this interview is to include follow-up questions, right? So what does this require? In order to do a follow-up question, you must pay attention. You must really listen carefully to the details of what the person is telling you. And this is why having too many questions already predetermined or completed beforehand actually makes it harder to do a good interview, because you're so concerned about the next question, you're not really paying attention and listening to what the person's telling you. So take a look at the video that we saw yesterday, if you go into our virtual classroom under week 11, you'll see the link. There's a link that says interview video from Monday. That was from yesterday that we saw. I provided a second video here again for some tips and some strategies to think about when doing your own interview. But make sure that you're really paying attention to the person and really listening for that detail so that you can follow up with additional questions based on what he or she told you. That really is the essence for creating or conducting a very good interview, is being able to listen very carefully, letting the person speak, of course, and giving the person plenty of time to think about the responses, and then you inserting follow-up questions based on the details that the person has told you. And don't think that because you just ask a how question that you can't come back with a follow-up question that's also a second how question. You can follow up with the same question word however many times as you need to in order for the person, again, to provide the detail that you need. All right, so think about the question words. Try to cover and use as many different question words as possible. But again, the follow-up questions are really key to having that level of detail. Now, you might get lucky and maybe the person that you're interviewing is giving you wonderful detail and really is elaborating and just giving you all kinds of details. But a lot of times what you sometimes happens is, even though you know each other very well, maybe the person's not going to go into the level of detail that you need. Again, don't make the mistake of asking questions that you already know the answer to. Okay, your job here is to go beyond what you already know, things that you've probably already talked about with this family member. And it's certainly okay to ask about those as a starting point, but you want to follow up until you're getting some good detail that is something new and really is trying to find out what makes this person tick. Remember the phrase that we discussed yesterday. You're really trying to understand what makes this person tick, and in addition to that, trying to find out something new. All right, so before we go into our breakout rooms, are there any questions about basically anything that we've covered so far today or anything that we discussed in yesterday's class? And if anybody's watching the stream from Prope A, again, feel free to post your questions there. I'm also fielding questions in the live stream. Any questions, guys? No questions? Can everyone access your document? Hopefully you have gone in and changed the name of the Word document, the interview guide. So please go ahead and do that first. And I'm going to go ahead now and create some breakout rooms. Now, I'm going to create breakout rooms automatically. And so here I'm going to... All right, before I open up the rooms, we're going to reconvene about 1:50 for some closing comments and so just to close and give you an opportunity if you have any final questions to finish the class, okay? But I'll send out a message to everyone reminding everyone to try to reconvene, go ahead and exit out of your rooms at about 1:50. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and create the rooms. Marifer, if you have any questions about how to join the breakout room, please let me know. Otherwise, go ahead and join the breakout room number 1. Also, Braulio, if you have questions, I think you're in breakout room number 5. Go ahead and join that room, please. If you have questions, let me know. If you have issues trying to join into breakout room number 5. Angel, let me know if you have any questions. I think you're in breakout room number 2. If you have questions about joining that room, let me know.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I guess that I was in the wrong room because I am with Paolo and Oscar. In the group I was with Carol.
Okay, you should be in breakout room number 2 with Caro. So if you'd like to join there, please.
Okay.
Okay.
It's
All right.
not the same than the Microsoft Teams.
No, it's not. No, you
Okay.
should be able to go into the breakout room here in Zoom.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And Braulio, looks like you're in breakout room number 5. It looks like you're in here twice, so I'm not really sure. But let me know if, I'm not sure what's going on, but let me know if you have questions. Okay, Caro, you should be in room number 2. So if you'd like to go ahead and join, I was just talking to Angel, and I think he's also going to join breakout room number 2. But you guys should be together in, again, breakout room number 2. Caro and Angel. Okay, Paulo, it looks like I'm going to go ahead and assign you to breakout room number 5. If you want to go ahead and join breakout room number 5, Paulo. Caro, do you have any questions about joining or have any problems joining breakout room number 2? If you do, let me know. Caro, please let me know if you're having issues joining the room. Angel is waiting in breakout room number 2. You should be able to join the room number 2. And Paulo, you should be in breakout room number 5. It looks like Montse's in there and Braulio are in that room. Okay, again, let me know, guys, if you're having. Okay, Caro, if you want to unmute your mic, just tell me what's going on here, what you're not able to do. It says, I see your message in the chat. Can you tell me what's going on there, what you're not able to do? Do you have a microphone? Do you have a way to unmute your microphone, Caro?
Hi, teacher.
Hello, Caro.
I cannot join
What are you on a phone or on a computer?
in a computer.
All right. Do you see an option to join a breakout room?
No.
No. All right, I'm going to move you around here for 1 second. So let me try something. Okay, you don't see a message to join a breakout room? Do you see an option to join a
No.
breakout room?
No, teacher.
No? Okay, are you on a browser? Are you using a browser? And which browser are you using? Okay, Caro, if you wait 1 second, I'm going to go into the breakout room and ask Angel. I'll be right back. Okay, Caro, can you hear me?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Si vas hasta abajo, hay opciones, hay varias opciones. Hay una que dice Breakout Rooms. No sé si lo ves, este icono. Es como al lado a la derecha, pero hasta abajo. Tienes una opción, se llama Breakout Room. O tal vez 3 puntos que dice More. No sé si está
Ajá.
ahí. ¿Sí lo ves?
Sí.
Ok, si quieres dar un clic ahí para ver si entras. Do you see the option where it says breakout rooms at the bottom, Caro?
No, teacher.
Ok, ¿qué opciones tienes?
Me aparece uno que dice archivos y luego otro que dice EduClass, Notebook y luego OneNote y luego turnos, Stream, Planner.
No, pero estás en Zoom, ¿verdad?
Ah, estoy en Microsoft Teams.
No, no, no. Ok, es por eso. Estamos en Zoom.
Ok.
Si quieres salir y entrar, hay una invitación en Microsoft Teams, pero hay una, se llama Zoom, ¿verdad? Y
Ajá.
tal vez es por eso. Para mí, hasta abajo hay varias opciones. Si quieres salir y entrar nuevamente, a ver si con eso.
Ah, ok, lo voy a intentar.
Ok. Okay, guys, I want to go ahead and conclude today's class. Today, we went into our interview guide in Microsoft Teams under Files, Interview Guides. If you have not done so already, please make sure that you have included just your first name. Again, you can replace interview guide. It's not necessary to have that in the title or the name of the file. You can just use your name as the name of the file. For example, Odalis, right? Something really simple, just your first name is perfectly acceptable. And make sure that you use this guide in preparing for your interview. Remember that your interview should be related to something related to education, formal or informal. Someone that you know, a family member that you know a lot about already, but also that you want to learn more about through this interview. So find a way to prepare using this guide or whatever other means that you need to help with the questions that you want to pose to your family member. Also, make sure that you record the session, although it's not required for an assignment or for, as part of the grade, but to do make sure that you record it so that you can go back and get the detailed from the interview. Okay, what we'll do tomorrow is we'll take and start using some of that information that you that were provided in the interview, and we'll continue this activity based on the results of your interview. All right, so are there any questions about what we're doing with regard to the interview?
Yes. So we have to make the interview today or just fill the document?
I would like for you to try to do the interview today with your family member.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So please try to do the interview today. And again, if you do the interview and you go back later and you need to follow up and get more information, then of course try to do that. And even tomorrow, if you still need additional information, hopefully you can get that tomorrow. But I would like for everyone to try to do the interview today before or tomorrow before our class. Since our class is at 1:00, right? You could, you're going to have the benefit of also having part of tomorrow to do the interview if you need to. But I'm asking everyone to try to complete the interview before our next class, and so that we can do another activity tomorrow that's based on the results of your interview. Okay, any other questions, guys?
I have one, Ben.
Yes.
Do we have to use only one discipline, or may I use, like, for example, something we learn in a common university, and also speak about some sport or something based on arts, like music, or I don't know, playing soccer or baseball or whatever?
Okay, can I ask Oscar, have you decided on which family member you want to interview?
Well, yesterday I told you that I wanted to interview my mom, but I've been thinking, and I would like to go with my little sister. Well, she's younger. She's 30, 13, sorry. And well, I think this would be interesting because she's still thinking about what she wants to do. Maybe something related to sports, or maybe something related to a common uh, discipline. Well, not common, but the ones you usually see in universities.
Okay, so first of all, I think that it sounds like you're making a good decision on the family member that you chose. So based on her experiences, to answer your question, you can focus on any of those disciplines that you mentioned. And so what I would do is first ask yourself, is there something about those examples, those different disciplines that you just shared with me today, and see, is there something in particular that you're curious about, that you maybe just want to learn more about, her, maybe it's something that she talked a little bit about, but you want to find out more to see if she's thought about it anymore, right? And so what I would try to do in general is try to get more detailed information about less things, right? And this is for everyone. If you can try to learn more deeply about less things, that is going to be the goal, instead of just superficially or generally asking about 10 topics about the person. Why not choose 2 or 3 and keep having follow-up questions to get more detailed about less disciplines in this case. Okay, does that make sense?
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, so yeah, so this is for everyone. That's a good question. You can focus on basically any discipline as long as you try to tie it into education, teaching, learning, formal education, informal education. It could be on the job experience that the person learned about, right? It could be even hypothetical situations versus real situations. You could mix the hypothetical with the real, right? So there are a lot of different ways that you can approach these questions. And that's precisely why you need to prepare, right? Because otherwise you could talk about everything and anything. And at the end, you go back and listen to the recording. You might decide, oh, you know, I missed this. I should have asked more questions about this. I should have just focused on this. And so what you want to try to do is avoid having to go back and do a follow-up question later on. Of course, you're going to have that option because your family member presumably lives with you and you can do that, right? And that's good to have as an option. But we want to try to avoid that. We want to try to get everything that we need in the first interview. And you're better off if you can prepare, right? You're more likely to, get that information the first go around. Okay. But good questions, guys. Any other doubts about the interview or what we're working on? All right. Well, I guess if there are no more questions, if you guys decide later that you do have questions, again, send me a chat in Microsoft Teams. And otherwise, we'll continue tomorrow and we'll continue on doing this activity. We'll talk probably more specifically about certain grammatical structures based on some of your results. But these first 2 days of this week are really trying to prepare us to get some authentic texts that we can work with so that we can dissect them and look at the grammar aspects of it the rest of the week. All right, so enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow at 1. And please don't forget also, if you haven't already, make sure that you've signed into the virtual classroom for attendance purposes. Remember, we need to try to do that between 1 and 2 p.m. each day, Monday through Friday. All right, guys, thank you, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.
See you. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.